It's time to talk romance because I've read some romance. It's not really that complicated. I don't know why I thought I was gonna make. Yeah, let's talk romance. Hi guys, it's April, and this is another one of my 3-book reads mini review wrap up things. I don't know what to call these. I need to figure out something to call this series. But I have just recently read 3 different romance books, and I want to talk to you about them. Now, all of these are contemporary romances. There's 1 adult romance and 2 YA romance because I read all over the place. And it has been a while since I have delved into this genre, and I have to say it's really giving me that summer feel. I'm ready for that warm weather and all of the adventures that brings. The first book I want to talk about is No Judgment by Meg Cabot. This was my local book club book pick. This is the story of Bree, who uproots herself from New York after a series of events, decides that she's going to move down to Florida to a small place called Little Bridge. After being there for a few months, there is a hurricane heading that direction, and she decides to stick it out. And through all of that, she decides that she is going to help rescue a lot of the animals that had to be left behind. And of course, this is all done with the help of the local bachelor hottie, Drew. This was a cute read. It was definitely one of those summer candy reads. What I found a little weird about this book is the fact that it is an adult book, but it was written with a very young voice. It almost bridged the line of middle grade or YA in the writing style, but then it attempted to tackle really hard topics like sexual harassment and that kind of stuff. But because of how it was written, it almost felt brushed aside and the characters came across a little bit flat. So I think this book could have been so much fuller and deeper and richer, but we didn't really get that here. I love the fact that it was all about rescuing animals, but that wasn't even a huge chunk of this book. The next book I want to talk about is The Way You Make Me Feel by Maurene. This is the story of a girl named Clara who is the glass clown. Unfortunately, one of her pranks goes a little too far, and it ends up with her and her arch enemy Rose working on her father's food truck together for the summer. The fun part about this book is Claire comes from Korean Brazilian background, and that is reflected in her father's food truck where they have Korean Brazilian food. And the romance in this book is fairly interesting because along the way of working in the food truck, Claire meets a young man named Hamlet, who is also of Asian background. They are polar opposites, but that's ultimately what attracts Hamlet to Claire. But at the same time, Claire is dealing with so many underlying issues that she doesn't even think she's valuable enough for this relationship. And she goes through this whole growing process with this food truck and several other things along the way. There is some look at influencer life and how that can affect children. And I just really enjoyed this read because it did have that very fun romance in it that just kept on pulling the story along, but it also had these deeper notes that I found really fascinating, and I think Gu did this very well. And last but not least, we have Somewhere Only We Know by Marie Gu. I have gotten on a Gu kick because I just really like the stories that she has been telling. This is the story of Lucky, who is an up-and-coming K-pop star. It is also the story of Jack, who's on a gap year trying to find himself, and in the process of trying to find himself, decides that he's going to work for a tabloid as paparazzi because he has a passion for taking pictures, and this just seems to be his in. This is told in dual perspective. It switches back and forth between the two characters, and it all takes place pretty much within a day. Lucky decides that she is ready for a hamburger. With a combination of anxiety meds and sleep medication, she makes some pretty poor decisions and ends up on the streets of Hong Kong looking for a hamburger, and of course stumbles into Jack, and this is just their adventure for the next 24 hours. We of course got Jack dealing with the fact that he wants to use her as his next big break. We also have Lucky trying to hide who she is, wanting to be a normal girl for just a little while and trying to re-find her passion for singing. I love this story. It was just, I could see this playing out as a K-drama, and I think that is why I love this story so much. It is only over a very short period of time, but I think it is so well handled with how both of these characters start to develop a connection, a relationship, a friendship in a way that makes sense for what they're going through. I liked it. I liked it a lot. So if you are in the K-pop scene or you like any of that, I highly recommend this because this was by far my favorite of the 3 reads. So those are the 3 romance reads that I have read recently. I would love to know what you guys are reading down below. Let me know. And of course, if you have any recommendations for what I should pick up next, let me know. Of course, if you want to see more content like this, subscribe, hit that bell, do all those things to get all of those notifications. And of course, I do have a membership option if you want to support in other ways, but feel no obligation to join. Otherwise, I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.